will be by Gary Dotterer from Rogers State University, and he's going to talk to us about preparing images for online delivery.
Great. Thank you very much, Kristalla. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Everybody good to go? Okay. I'm going to share my screen and want to make sure, does everyone see a heading 1, preparing imagery?
We do, Gary.
Great, great. Okay. Folks, I wanted to present here quickly on an item that may be general knowledge, but seems to be problematic if you're new to course creation or the use of images. And so I kind of wanted to take a second to show you folks that there needs to be some preparation of your images prior to you placing them in your current LMS, or for most, for any other web pages. One of the things that we wanted to talk about is imagery itself. And can anyone answer why it's important to add images to text within content?
Give more meaning to the content. Because
Correct. It provides a visual cue for what is being written or discussed within the content. So in a sense, an image supplants an image in one's mind if you're somewhat of more of a visual learner. So for example, if I were to state the word horse, how many of you actually visualized an animal horse? Probably most of you, and that's what the studies are gearing towards, are people are becoming more visual. But there are people who, when they heard the word horse, might have thought about a raspy voice, which is not a visual per se, as it would be to see an actual animal horse. So images help construct meaning, and they provide mental images for our students. Well, think about that. If we rely on images, we have to take care of our students who are in rural areas. So I'm going to bring up an image that is a large image size. And I want to see if you folks can see this image. Do you see a shot of an astronaut in your screen?
Yes.
Okay, this particular image is 5,200 pixels in width and about 3,500 pixels in height. Imagine the download time it would take for a student in rural areas. So be conscious of the size of the images that you use. This particular image, in its resolution, is over 756 kilobytes, but it is 12 meg in its raw form. So when I want to insert that particular image into my content, it's going to take a good 136 seconds for a student who is using 56K modem or a mobile hotspot. Think about that, folks. A lot of our students do not have broadband access with their connection at home. What can we do to minimize their frustration with downloads? That is, we need to go in and re-prepare an image. So I'm going to take this screen down a second and go back to my original imagery. Do you folks see the preparing imagery again? Screen?
Yes.
Great. Folks, the image file extensions that we see today are GIF, which are short animated images that are less than 256 colors. Okay, so if in your content you use a GIF which shows a small little video because it's a series of images connected together, this is the type of format you would use. Now, back in the day, this became the most widely used file extension. Why? It recognizes 16 million colors. But there's a problem with JPEGs, and that is the compression. Every time you save it, it recompresses the JPEG and makes it smaller and smaller, but it depixelizes and creates this halo around the image. Has anyone experienced that by saving JPEGs multiple times? Anyone?
I have.
Okay. So as you back that out and then you look at the format and appearance of your web page, a depixelized image looks like it's not been well taken care of or preserved. So if we're looking for an eye candy in the sense of a nice page layout, we don't want an image that's pixelated. We're using imagery for supplanting an idea, so we want it in its best form. Well, now, folks, we have a newer format. It's been out a while. It is a portable network graphic, a PNG, and I'm sure we've all heard of that. The great thing about it is it also recognizes 16 million colors, but it also has the ability to take the GIF benefit, which is a little small movie, and provide a transparent background to it. So GIFs can be transparent, PNGs can be transparent. The PNG also gives me 16 million colors, so that now is a better performance image to use because it would be half the size of a JPEG at the same resolution. Is anyone confused about what I just said? Everybody okay? All right. So when we take this a little bit further and we're going to add an image, we want to add an image that provides meaning. Sweller is a theorist on cognitive load. There are three types of cognitive load. There is intrinsic, germane, and extraneous. So when we're selecting an image, if my little area or my talk is about Facebook, I'm going to provide a Facebook image in there. Why would I do that?
To give the content meaning.
Correct. Most of you, when this image was visible to you, automatically you knew what it was, most of you, and you have supplanted that image in your mind that that's about Facebook. And we did not have to say a single word. We provided text in there as part of the support. But the whole point here is, if you're going to talk about astrology in a course that you're designing and you start putting images in there about trees, you have created an extraneous load where the student is going, why do we have trees in the middle of this content about astrology? So please pick your images that have a relationship with the context of what meaning and what information you're conveying. So don't put something in there that causes an extraneous load because it breaks the student's short-term memory, because they have to go out there and they focus on, well, why is the tree in there? And then all of that knowledge that they were working with in short-term memory is now gone. Extraneous load is problematic, especially in distance learning, if you're not representing your images in context with what meaning or what information you're conveying. So most of us know how to resize images, okay? Go ahead.
Before you get too far, there's a question in the chat I wanted to make sure we get in there. They asked, what do you do if your LMS only uses JPEGs?
Well, just do this. Here, that's a great question. If you find an image and you're pulling it either from the publisher or the web, make sure that the first time you save that it becomes your master image. Do not resave that file again and again and again and again. Keep one master handy, one file of a JPEG handy, and make your modifications and go ahead and bring that into your LMS. What we're trying to do is not destroy the image itself in that compression mode with a JPEG. So if your LMS only uses a JPEG, make sure that you keep a master image first and save it from there every time. Do not resave the same image. So that should help you in your LMS that only recognizes JPEGs. Great question. Folks, on the resizing an image, here's the key. There are many softwares out there. Some of them are very expensive, Photoshop, some of the higher end imagery programs, but we have a basic Microsoft Paint program in our Windows operating system. So if I were to switch over to Paint, folks, can you see Paint?
We can, Gary.
Yes, we can see it.
If I'm to bring in a large file, and let's say I bring in this astronaut that we know is a large file type, all right? See how large that file is? I'm going to use the basic resize and this particular file as noted. And if you can see my screen now, that file is 12.5 megabytes. You folks see that?
We do, Gary.
Perfect. So if I go back and I'm going to resize this image and I'm going to take it down to pixels, and let's say it goes from 5,250 down to 1,000. Notice this is locked, so it maintains the aspect ratio. It automatically does the vertical sizing for me. I click OK. Notice it reduces. And now I'm going to save that as a PNG file. It was a JPEG, okay? When I save that on my desktop, I'm just going to name it a little goofy. I'm going to cancel this one. And now our size is reduced to 1.58 megabyte. When you have an LMS system, and I'm going to show you RSUs, but it's the same for others. If I'm going to go in here and add an image, and I'm going to go down to where I'm working, and I'm going to give you this last example that will hopefully tie all of this together. Okay, let's say I'm going to add an image right here. And I'm going to bring that astronaut in. So when I go through my LMS and I select my directory and I'm going to upload this file from my desktop, and I'm going to use that PNG we just sized down. Notice most of your LMSs give you this width and height along with where the image resides, and then of course your alt text. Question: If I reduce this width to 500, will it reduce the file size in this web page I'm about to insert this image in?
Yes, I say yes.
No, I say no.
How many no's are out there? It doesn't.
Oh, okay.
This particular little frame is telling the browser how to view the image for you, but it doesn't take away the total file size. And that's where we get in trouble, folks, for our rural students. So if you have large images and they're over 600 kilobyte, I would prepare the image before and make it a more manageable file size so that students can download these files. Again, in your learning management system, each of you have this type of little WYSIWYG settings. When you change it to this, maybe viewed at 200, I'm going to save it. Notice there's the astronaut. I'm going to save the assignment. And when I go back to that image in the placeholder as a student, and I open this particular assignment, I now see that little image. Now it's viewable. But when I go in and I save this image, I'm going to replace the other. Notice he sized it. So it's downloadable. That's probably better at a 56K modem, having it at 1.5 meg instead of the 12.5. So folks, when you're working in your LMS and you have larger images that are a part of your content that are very important for detailed resolution in the training process, make sure that they are downloadable sized images for people who do not have broadband access at home.
I have a question, Gary.
Yes, ma'am.
So in our LMS, we put banners in there that are typically, I think it's 11, 20 by 231. And we like to put banner images in our templates. And so I'm wondering if that could be why some of the pages are slow to load. At first, we thought a lot of times it was because of the videos, but I'm wondering if maybe the images too cause the pages are slower to load. It
does. In the past, you could apply a setting to a JPEG called interlace. Mm-hmm. Interlace allowed the browser to begin loading the file as it's loading the web page. In the normal breakdown, a web browser loads the text first, then it brings back in the images. If those images were not interlaced, it will then add on more download time because you'll see your web page. It looks great, but you've got those broken images until it's loading and downloading those images so they're viewable. So it will increase your download time for a page. Every element will cause more time for that page to download. Other questions, or was this all new information or old school information?
Gary, when you change the size in window, you change the resolution, right?
It does because, yes.
Yes, okay. But then when you go to LMS, when you change the size, really you reduce the frame to fit, not change the resolution. That's Correct. Why your question when you ask, when we change that to 1,000 to 200, would affect the picture? No, because the software that changed the resolution was somewhere else. LMS basically make the changes in frame to fit or not.
Yes, sir. Correct.
Thank you. I wasn't sure. Yeah, okay.
I hope that helps because I've been a long-time web developer since the, I hate to say it, late 80s, early 90s. And it was very problematic in the past to deal with images. And it's always been an issue if you don't go back in and resize them and the people don't have the ability to download them. It just causes frustration. So hopefully a few of those little tricks of making sure you resize it. I did provide links for each of the different types of photo editing programs that might be out there. And I'll have all this shared for you folks to take away. But just know, try to get your images under a meg if possible. 600 kilobytes is preferred, but as more broadband is available, those images can tick up in resolution.
I have a question, Gary.
Mhm.
I'm using Adobe Spark to resize the images.
Uh-huh.
And I'm trying to figure out how, because basically I want to find out what the pixels are, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when I open up the program, I'm thinking there's got to be some area that should say on the image what size the pixels are. I go on properties when I open it.
Yes. Try properties and see if it's available there.
Okay. Because I may switch over to Paint. It seems like Paint might be easier to use because you could have more opportunities to you can also press it down to make it so that it'll fit on the page better as well, right? In Paint.
Yes. And one of the things that you need to also, and Dr. Sultani hit on this. Does anyone know what the actual size of a pixel is? It's 1/72 of an inch. So 72 pixels equals 1 inch on your screen. So if you have 5,250 as your width resolution, how many inches is that? Can somebody do the quick calculation? I put in 5,580. That means the width of that image resolution in actual size, it's 77 inches. That is all over that's over 6 feet in width. So that particular image was probably made for a poster. So this is very important. Look at your resolutions for your higher file size images. Keep a master and then modify and reduce the size where it's around 600 kilobyte or under a meg. I think Google email or Gmail, the maximum that comes out of the box is 25 meg is what you can send via an attachment. So this is where this images being able to reduce them comes into play as well. You'll be able to send them to others if they're just really outrageously sized with resolution. Thoughts, concerns, issues? Gary, I wish you'd have never covered this subject.
It was very helpful, Gary, and because it's something that I've been working on the past few days. So,
Good.
And we've been talking about that actually at our university. So
And,
I think it's very important because the LMSs pages are running slow. You wonder why. Is it video? Is it pictures? What's causing it?
and any little modification we make that eliminates that variable, we're only working towards better quality for our students and their ability to download
Mhm.
content.
Thank you, Gary. Helping faculty to move pictures from one location to another location. I always, as we all used to, JPEG. Basically we did JPEG and keep pressing it, still would be large. But I'm glad you mentioned ping, it give you more resolution with the same, better quality, but less sizes.
Yes, sir, definitely. And I'm actually so happy that this portable network graphic came along, because you got to a point where you destroyed your beautiful JPEGs when it compressed so much that halo appeared and it looked so depixelated. So I'm glad. Pick up on that, folks. It'll be very helpful, and it'll give your students a better eye candy in your content. Because, folks, graphics are used to grab the attention of a student and engage the student. Graphics are important today, and our society is becoming more visual, and I think it's apparent when we use imagery that it'll be beneficial to help our students learn.
Sorry, I'm seeing an interesting comment from Simon Ringsmith in the chat here regarding a new image format called HEIC that's on a lot of mobile phones, but is not really compatible with LMS platforms. So I agree with Simon. I think it's very helpful what you've shown us today. Stick to these recognized file types, particularly as these new ones come out, to make sure that they're universal across platforms.
Yes, great, good. I'm glad that Simon brought that to our attention, because not only, folks, are we dealing with the regular resolution of our laptops or desktop monitors, students are going to iPads and to smart devices. So those heavy image resolutions are going to be detrimental on a download.